What's up, guys? How's it going? So today we're playing some Capture the Flag on what's this map? Havana, I think, yeah. But I'm not gonna be talking about the gameplay. I kind of want to talk a little bit about Netflix. Um, so anyway, I've been watching some of the worst movies I've ever seen lately on Netflix, just because it's funny as crap just to watch the worst movies ever with my friends. So yeah, I've been watching the worst movies ever made with my friends in an Xbox Live party, and let's talk about some of those movies. This one movie, which is freaking terrible, it's called Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, which, as thrilling as that movie just sounds, just by the title of it, it's actually not as good as it sounds like it would be. About 20 or so minutes into the movie, it shows this guy in an airplane, just like in the middle of an ocean, just like how you or I would be flying in an airplane, getting from like point A to point B. So anyway, he's in the airplane, and there's a bunch of like lightning happening, and this movie was made in like, I don't know, 1980 or something, where it has terrible special effects. So he's flying in a plane, and there's lightning, and he's like, "Oh geez, that's lightning," and the airplane shakes a little bit, and he stands up, and the flight attendant lady's like, "Calm down, it's just a little lightning, it's all gonna be fine." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, me and my wife are getting married in a couple weeks." And so you're like, "Oh, okay, so this retarded movie is trying to actually like get us into the characters, like, oh, he's married, he's about to start a new life, so if something happens to him, this is just gonna be so depressing." So I guess it tries to give you some sort of character development, which it fails at so bad. So his wife's like asleep in the seat right next to him, and he just like calmly sits back down after the flight attendant tells him that it's all gonna be okay. And you see him just sitting in his seat, and he has the window seat. He's sitting in his seat, and then you can see like the camera's looking at him from like the window right next to him, and you can see that his eyes are already like looking out the window, like he's getting ready to do this next scene. And so he's like kind of looking out the window out of the corner of his eyes awkwardly. And then you just see his head bolt towards the window, and he's like, "Holy shit!" And it looks so hilarious. And then the camera pans to like what he's looking at, what he's saying "holy shit" to, and then it shows a shark jumping out from the ocean water and just flying towards this airplane that's thousands of feet into the air. It's one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in my entire life. So this shark is flying through the air at this airplane, thousands of feet into the air, and you just see the giant freaking shark just hurtling towards this airplane, and then it shows the shark like bite the airplane, and both the airplane and the shark gracefully like fall down into the ocean and die. And these special effects are so terrible. You can just tell that was like specially affected in there. But just seeing this shark as big as an airplane float back down to the ocean is freaking funny. So I had a good ass time watching that movie, just laughing with my friends about how hilarious that was. And then we actually watched another movie. This movie actually wasn't that bad. This movie is called Dead Snow. And I recommend, if anybody has Netflix, please watch these movies that I'm telling you to watch, because they're hilarious, honestly. But Dead Snow actually isn't that bad of a movie. I actually gave it 5 stars because it was pretty good for what it's worth. The movie is the entire movie is in German the entire time, so there are English subtitles, so you know what's going on at least. But if you I definitely say watch this movie. There's really not that much talking. There's story a little bit at the beginning, but then it just turns into crazy zombies. Because the movie's about Nazi zombies. And if you like Call of Duty, you like Nazi zombies. But there's this one part, and I guess they're going by the assumption that if you get bit by a zombie, you also turn into a zombie. So there's this one part where this guy gets bit on his arm by a zombie, and if you don't want to hear spoilers, I guess you can fast forward through this part. But I recommend you go watch it just because it's thrilling, just to watch these funny movies. But in this movie, it's kind of like action-ish, because there's a lot of, it's like Shaun of the Dead action, if you've ever seen Shaun of the Dead. But this guy gets bit by the arm, or bit on the arm, and it's also funny. Forgot to say that he gets bit on the arm. And he kills a zombie like with a chainsaw or whatever, but it's he and his friend, or him and his friend, they're like right next to each other. And he gets bit on the arm, and he's like, dude, you know what our friend said, not to get bit by zombies. And he looks over at his chainsaw, and he's looks back at his friend. He's like, I'm gonna have to cut off my own arm because he doesn't want to turn into a zombie. So he does this hardcore like action 10-second scene where he cuts off his arm with a chainsaw, and it shows like a lot of blood because it's really cool. But he cuts off his own arm with a chainsaw, and then he makes a fire and melts his arm so he doesn't bleed to death. And I was like, that is awesome. Then he gets back over to his friend, and he's like, that was difficult. And then it makes him seem like such a badass kind of. And then he's just standing there, and you're like, wow, that guy's amazing. And then you see a zombie come out from the ground, and he just like right underneath the guy, he just punches through the ground, and he's right underneath the guy, and he bites the guy's penis. And he's just like, oh, and then he like kills the zombie or whatever, but his penis just got bit. And then he looks back at his friend, and then he looks at his chainsaw, and he's like, and then his friend's like, no, don't do that. And I thought that was hilarious, because right when I saw him got bit on the penis, I was like, oh no, he's gonna have to amputate his own dick. But he actually didn't end up doing that. But that was just amazing to see him get bit on the, like, after all that, you're like, man, that guy's gonna survive and all that. And then he just, like, after all that struggle, gets bit again, just like right on the penis. Oh, that was funny to watch. And right now we're actually watching, like, I actually left my friend in the middle of our movie because I wanted to come do this commentary. We're actually watching this movie right now called Tainted, and it's a Twilight parody, and it's such a bad movie, but it's so funny too. It's a low-budget film. The company that made this movie, they're called Low Budget Films, and it's one of those movies that a high school can put together. Like, it's that like poorly made, just like budget-wise, and it's pretty funny too, just because it's so bad. But yeah, it's a Twilight parody, and it has like high school humor, I guess, and just made with probably the cheapest camera you can find. But it's pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie, just because it's so terrible just to watch these movies and laugh at them. But yeah, it's a Twilight parody, and it's such a creepy funny movie, just because it's so, I can't really explain it yet because I haven't really seen the whole movie through. But I definitely recommend you go see Dead Snow, if you have Netflix, of course. It takes place in the winter of, I don't know, some German place, so it's really snowy. But that was a really, really good movie, actually. I quite enjoyed it. It was really action-y and thriller, and I liked it. But I like talking about these Netflix movies, so if you want to see more Netflix commentaries, tell me, because I have a lot of fun doing these. Because Wings of Redemption does his thing where he talks about movies, and I actually quite enjoy those. And I do work at AMC movie theaters, so I can definitely like talk about new movies that are coming out and movies in general. So if you want to hear me talk about movies or Netflix or anything like that, or if you just rather hear me talk about gameplay, then I can do that too. But I kind of like hearing about stuff that's really not gameplay oriented. But I went 30-1, and we won that Capture the Flag game, so like the video if you guys want to, and I'll see you guys later.